Hello friends. In this video I will be sharing a step-by-step process of creating a poster using an airbrush and stencils. And here we go. I knew I wanted to create a man in a truck hauling a bunch of junk. And I had a picture in my mind, but I didn't draw it out first. I just kind of went with it as I thought it up. But each one of these numbers shows a step in the process that I took. I used matting board for some of the stencils, and then for things that I wanted tighter cuts on, I used like pieces of acrylic and plastic dividers, a lot of plastic dividers. They're cool. You can wash them off in between sprays, and they stay nice and sharp and they don't get logged down. Yeah, sometimes you gotta reinforce them if you're using a cheaper thing so the edges don't bow out. That's what I did here. I used plug cutters to drill holes in matting board, but it didn't turn out too good. I think the plug cutters were a bit dull. And then I started adding junk to the back of the truck. I think it's coming along nicely. It's kind of always scary in the beginning when you don't know how it's going to turn out, and since I was doing a great deal of them, if you make a mistake, you've just ruined 20 things, and that stinks. But I was having fun experimenting with a bunch of different shapes and colors. There's a little plant there. It was at this point where my old airbrush died and I had to go to Harbor Freight and buy a new one. Luckily it was on sale for $16, and it turned out to be a very good choice. I was frightened, but not when I got it home and looked at it. This was the first airbrush I got from Harbor Freight. I would suggest not buying this airbrush, this plastic airbrush. It fell apart quite quickly. This is, was doing freehand stuff in between the stencils, and that's me. Here's the guardrail, the stencil for the guardrail. Things are starting to come together. I wanted to do as much stuff as I could with the stencils so I wouldn't have to go in by hand and do the finishing lines. But I knew some of them had to be done by hand in order to bring the room together. This is the stencil I separated so you wouldn't, nothing from one house wouldn't blow into the other house when I was brushing. And this, I really like the way that the grass turned out. I used this over and over again to make a meadow of grass. That was something new that I figured out. And this is, I would clear acrylic. You can see what you're doing, but it drips. There's different plastics do different things. I wasn't too happy about the expensive clear acrylic. This needed a lot of reinforcement because there was it's very cheap plastic and it bowed up. Oh, the dog is fighting the cat. Yeah, this is the tops of the houses and the doors. I was really pleased that this turned out as cool as as it turned out in the end. That's the sun. I have this big box full of stencils. That was just a white line on the top of the guardrail. It made it easier than hand painting it. This was the first air compressor I got, a little $20 or $30 thing at Harbor Freight, and I shelved it for years, but then I started using it again and it's absolutely perfect. So you can get started in airbrushing for under $50. I mean, that's not what the... not counting all the paint. You can get a pretty good quality airbrush for $15, $16 and an air compressor for $25 to $30, and that's all you need, and some creativity. And the last parts I did by hand. This is how it turned out. And there's 20 variations of this. And most of these are going out to you guys.